So here we are in Europe for the first time this season. We're in southern Spain, just outside of Malaga, doing a couple days of riding before we head over to the World Cup in Lourdes. So this trip is really exciting because I got my new frame that I'll be racing this season, at least to start with. It's the third version of the prototype frames that I designed, and it's a pretty unique design. It uses a really high low pivot that's optimized to work with an O-chain. So it's kind of a unique strategy that I don't think anyone's done before. The design made sense in my head, but you don't know until you try. So having the bike here and being able to ride it, I can confirm that it works as well as I could have hoped. So we got 2 days riding here on 2 different tracks, and yesterday was pretty dry. Good conditions, really fun track, rocky. Just good to get over here and get all the kinks worked out before we get to the World Cup. We brought our little brother along. I got my brother Colin with me. He's going to be racing the junior race in Lourdes. It's his first year as a junior, and it's going to be exciting to have him over here and kind of show him the ropes and give him his first experience in Europe. So stoked that we could bring him along for the whole opportunity. I rode 1 day since breaking my finger 3 weeks ago, the day before I jumped on the plane to come over here, and it feels a lot better than expected. I can definitely ride. I just don't know how it's going to be for a full run, but I'm stoked that I'll be able to race, and yeah, didn't do all this work to sit out the first World Cup, so I'm excited.
So, I'm Martin Whiteley. I'm the founder and owner of 23 Degrees Sports Management. We're here in our HQ, 23 HQ, here in the Sierra Nevada mountains in Granada. So 23 Degrees is a management company. We're not a marketing company, so there's a subtle difference. Our expertise is in management. So we manage athletes, we manage teams, we own teams, run teams. And with Neko Mulally, I've been managing him since 2009 when we first met in Whistler. Or just after that, and currently I'm working as a logistics manager for his new project, Frameworks Racing. So basically being a supportive behind the scenes kind of person in that regard, so he can get on with his racing. And there's a picture of my dad over my shoulder. He was a racer on dirt back in the 40s and 50s. And in 1984, I organised the first national mountain bike championships in Australia. And then in the year after that, became CEO of Australian Cycling, responsible for all cycling for 10 years in Australia. And then got asked to go to the UCI in '95 to run the mountain bike discipline in the World Cup, which I did for 5 years before moving here and starting 23 Degrees. So when I left the UCI, it was to start my own race company and sports management company. And that was with Greg Minnaar, who I'd been working with already for a few years. So we started Global Racing. That was our first team. That went for 3 years. Then after that, Greg and I went to Honda and convinced them to have a World Cup team. So we ran the Honda G-Cross team from 2004 to 2007. And then I started Trek World Racing as a privately owned team sponsored by Trek, and we ran that for 7 years and had a lot of success with that team. And then after that, Aaron Gwynn asked me to work with him on the YT Mob, which we started in 2016. And that took a break at the end of last year. So when I met Neko, he was riding for Specialized, and we were in Whistler with Trek World Racing for our first year. And he'd just done really well in the slalom in Crankworks. And he started asking me questions about what it's like to run a team. How do you know how many tires to put into the truck? All sorts of weird logistical questions that you don't expect from a 15-year-old who's talking to a team owner. Normally they're saying, what do I have to do to get on your team? He was more like, how do you plan a team in Europe and one in America, and how much does fuel cost to move the trucks around? So he was already, his brain was thinking in a logistical way, and you could see that one day this guy would be a team owner, and here we are. Yeah, I mean, look, this is Neko's passion project, and when he told me about it first in Lenzerheide last year, I could see it, but I couldn't quite gauge it the way it would be received by the public. And I've just been amazed at the support he's got from the fans, from the sponsors, who are really digging his way of looking at racing from a different perspective on how he wants to run his program his way with his bike, his design. He'll choose what he wants to use because it's beneficial to performance, not because it's beneficial to the bank account. He's making a lot of sacrifices. It takes a lot of work to do what he's doing. So in a way, I'm there to support him. And what I know is how to do the UCI stuff, the registration, and he doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff. He can just focus on training and racing and keeping the sponsors happy, and that's the main thing.
What are we doing, Ancho?
What we're doing, trying to find our spot here in Lourdes. First round of the World Cup. We'll see what happens. Maybe we have to fight with some Frenchies.
Okay. And you would rather me say it as individual words, or?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Just so broken up.
Neko Mulally, Frameworks Racing, United States of America, freedom.
I've been waiting for a guy to come and take me by the hand. Cause these sensations make me feel the pleasures of a normal man. These sensations spare the answers leaving for another day. I've got the spirit, lose the feeling, take the shock away. Getting faster, moving faster, now it's getting out of hand. On the 10th floor, down the back stairs, into no man's land. Lights are flashing, cars are crashing, getting frequent now. I've got the spirit.
So disappointing result today. Obviously we didn't come here to miss the cut, but I think there's a lot of positives to take away. The team did such an awesome job, and we jived together like a little family, which is really cool. Amanda took great care of us. Ancho had the bikes running perfect, and just the chemistry between us is so good. And from my experience being on teams, that's the hardest thing to get right. So I'm just bummed that I couldn't show the potential of what we had. In hindsight, my finger wasn't ready. My splits were okay, but just faded towards the bottom, and being 4 weeks out and having pins in my finger, it was tough to hold on. So we got a big break. The logistics are done, the bike's ready, and I can just focus on training and riding until the next one.
The spirit, new sensation takes hold, then you know. Till the spirit, new sensation takes hold, then you know. Till the spirit, new
Looking to make
sensation
improvements, and yeah, it was always going to be hard. I could go ride this bike in my backyard and make it look good all I want, but got to take it to the World Cup, and sometimes getting your ass kicked is what you need to progress. So we'll be back.
Love that.
Good one.
Nice one.
We haven't met for you yet.
No, we're not.
You haven't talked to an American yet.